This documentary is all about my parents, which may sound boring at first. Like, what could be so special about my parents? I mean, what could make my parents newsworthy enough to do a 5-minute documentary about them? Well, aside from being loving, encouraging, and supportive, they're also gay. Many people are curious on what it's like to grow up with two moms, but it's probably the same as growing up with any other two supportive parents. I mean, the worst part is that I can't just say mom around the house without getting two enthusiastic yeses. That's why when I was a kid, I distinguished the two by height, calling the taller one Big Mommy and the shorter one Little Mommy. It's kind of weird that I'm doing a documentary about this, because my parents and my family seem normal to me. But I also realized that yes, my family is untraditional and unique, and also pure and beautiful. But in the end, my family's story is special to me, and something worth documenting. So yeah, I have two gay moms. Janet, my biological mother, and Linda, my adopted mother at birth. They're funny, supportive, and kind of cute together. Here's them talking about when they met.
Well, we met at a softball game, to be cliche. We met playing softball, right? And it was 1986.
And once upon a time...
And I was the left fielder, and she was the left fielder, and I was the shortstop.
And I'd like to tell you that once upon a time, mostly lesbians played softball. Not
right.
all women played softball.
Right.
Sports was not for all women. It was considered like a lesbian thing. There's like jokes like, why do lesbians travel in packs? So they can get a softball game going. So we met playing softball.
Softball has always been an important part of my life since I was young. It was something that brought my family closer together, and it's nice knowing that that's actually how my parents first met. When I was younger, my parents were pretty involved in my life, coaching my softball games in Colony, New York, and always giving me a ride to my Catholic high school in Albany. When asked if they ever felt at all different in these communities, I was actually a bit surprised by their response.
I never really felt different.
We were accepted at, of all places, Colony Girls Softball, which was a kind of a working class group of people who really never met lesbians before, I don't think. And Holy Names, which was a Catholic conservative school. And I think it speaks to really who we are, all three of us. So I think that matters if people like you. I think it matters if you're not a jerk.
The only time I feel a little awkward is at work sometimes when we have contractors that don't know me at all, and they're confused by the picture of us by the fire. And plus, sometimes I look like a man. They don't really know who the hell's in that picture. So sometimes there is a little confusion. And I don't usually explain it unless I work with them a long time.
So what made you decide you wanted to have me?
It was after my dad died. My father died in 1996, and I remember thinking how important family was. It was really the saddest thing that ever happened to us. And then we just thought, we should have a family. We need to make our family bigger.
So it was considered, we waited a while. We had been together already for like 10 years at that point.
At least, yeah.
It was kind of far from my mind, to be honest with you. It wasn't my idea.
Janet was afraid that it would be all the work would fall on her.
Linda has all the ideas. I do all the work. And also, to be honest with you, it was at a time when it was more and more people in the area lesbians were having children.
It was just starting.
It was just starting. So it seemed like such a foreign idea to me, but it was becoming more common. Like, you don't have to have a man to have a child.
But everybody thought it was a better idea that Janet had you instead of me. I thought, tall, thin, high IQ, it'd be better that way.
It really enhanced it did enhance our life.
The choice of having a child may have been easy for them to decide, but going through the actual process is much harder for gay parents, especially when there's limited sperm banks in the area.
Back then, like now it's different, but back then you went to this one clinic, they gave you one sperm bank, and everybody used the same sperm bank.
Having only one sperm bank in the area is kind of weird, but at the same time, this is the reason I have two half-siblings, Alex and Jess.
So what happened was we met Alex's parents, Ronnie and Donna, through Pat and Bar. So we had met them a few times, and then we started hanging out with them because Alex was born was 2 days after you. One night, it was first night. You were 1 year old, and everybody kept saying, "Oh my God, look at the twins!" And we're like, no, they're not twins. And after like the third or fourth time, look at the twins. We're like, eh. And then we looked at you both, and we realized, wow, yes. So then we found out that we used the same sperm donor because everybody used the same sperm bank at the time.
There were about 25 donors to choose from, but on any given time, but we had chosen like an Italian donor, and
so
they
did
had
they.
also chosen an Italian donor. So we compared numbers. It was like 257. It was like, whoa, we both had the same number.
From that day on, we did family things together, like celebrate holidays, share campsites, and vacation together in Cape Cod.
And as time went by, when we went to the Cape, remember the waitress at the store said, "Oh, they're twins. Are they twins?" I mean, it was even when they were 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Another important moment in my life happened on June 26, 2015, when same-sex marriage was legalized in all 50 states.
This morning, the breaking story just moments ago, the Supreme Court and this landmark ruling, the court making same-sex marriage legal in this country across every state in this nation. Going into today, 37 states in Washington, D.C., 13 states illegal, but those 37 states had same-sex marriage, and now that will change in all 50 states.
I remember the morning the Supreme Court ruled in our favor and just feeling the proudest I've ever been that I had 2 gay moms.
The Supreme Court finally agreed that, love is love, and we tried to get married as soon as we can.
We still don't remember the date.
The date was July 20th, 2015, just under 1 month after the Supreme Court ruling. But they've been together much longer, about 30 years.
Well, we've been together since '86, but we wouldn't get married until it was a nationwide thing.
Okay, there were different ways to get married. You could get married in the state, but it didn't really count on the national level. You could go to Canada and get married. It still didn't count in the national level. And Linda had said, why don't we get married? And I was like, why should we bother? It doesn't really count.
But I never thought marriage equality was like anything that I cared that much about, because we live in New York. In New York State, things tend to be pretty liberal and open. We were never denied access to each other in a hospital, right? We're in the South or in other parts of this country that's not very liberal. They would not allow that.
Oh, we had single parent adoption. Even though we weren't legally married, Linda had legally adopted you. So it wasn't as if I died, my crazy family would come in and say, I want Sophie. She doesn't belong to you,
The word wife to me is still kind of strange.
Because I conjure up traditional roles, like the husband works outside and the wife.
Yeah.
And
so we don't know what's called.
So, but I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to calling her my wife. Just because I want people to know we're married and not just like friends.
Being gay is so much more accepted now. I feel like everyone is at least a little bit gay. I admire my parents for being true to themselves at such a young age and then living their life unapologetically in a time where talks about sexuality were much more awkward.
I just think it's kind of amazing how far we've come. I think people don't realize.
I would like to make a comment. Linda and I, we don't really hold hands in public. We never did. Because we just didn't want to draw attention to ourselves.
Right.
And, even though we felt comfortable, we don't really want to make it and draw unwelcome attention to ourselves. However, nowadays...
Oh my God, you can't swing a cat in the middle school without hitting 2 girls holding hands.
When I walk in the mall, I'm amazed at how same-sex couples are holding and hugging each other, and it makes me happy.
It's in the middle school.
In the television shows, too. It's just amazing.
The future's looking bright for gay culture and gay families to thrive just as themselves. I'm so happy to be a part of this family, and I wouldn't trade my moms for anyone or anything.